vaccination, which wanes over time. Schedule an appointment when you are eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
That is right, the only and best sports betting show in Arizona. I am your host, one of three, Jackson Groff. And Mike Bauer, who just did a phenomenal job at the Backspin Golf Show, will be joining me here shortly. Mike Gross is somewhere in Denver right now, but we'll see him next week. We are here at the CAZ Sports Bar, and let me tell you, folks, this is the place to be on a Saturday and Sunday for all you football fans out there with the new sports book located at CAZ Sports Bar. It's a sports fan's paradise. Betting hours are from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. There's 3 live betting windows as well as 6 self-serve betting kiosks as well as 8 screens displaying up-to-date betting lines. This is the place to be. Right now I'm looking around. We got a lot of people here in our betting chairs. Some people are watching the Texas-Oklahoma game. Some people are watching the TCU-Kansas game. We'll get into all of these college football games as we talk about the betting lines from the 9 a.m. games, and we'll talk about the later games as well. But, man, CAZ Sports Bar and the new Casino Arizona Sportsbook is the place to be. But without further ado, let's get into the opening line. The opening line, folks. College football. It's always college football on a Saturday. It's a great time to be alive for college football fans out there. This is week 6. We're almost at the midpoint in the season, which is already crazy to think about. But some updates on the scores. Michigan, number 4 Michigan, is tied at halftime with number 10 Indiana, folks. And the line I'm looking at, I got my paper right here, the CAZ Sports Bar, was minus 22.5 for Michigan. And right now it's a tie ball game, folks. And the Indiana money line was plus 1,030, 1030. So if you put $100 down on the Indiana Hoosiers and they come out on top, you'll be winning big, folks. And you can cash out here at the CAZ Sports Bar or at the casino cashier as well. Looking across the league, at the end of the third quarter, number 8 Tennessee is up big, 23-7. No shocker there. I mean, at Death Valley, this is a tough place to play. Hendon Hooker has been on his money, folks. Heisman candidate number 1 for sure. 11 for 20, 153 yards and 1 touchdown right now. They also got a touchdown on the ground as well. This Tennessee team, folks, is scary. And with Bama coming into their town next week with a banged up Bryce Young, be on the lookout for the Tennessee Volunteers if you want to bet on them next week. Kansas, 17-10, coming back from being down 10-3 at halftime. They scored 14 straight points. Jalen Daniels was out in the first half with a shoulder injury. Their backup quarterback, Mr. Jason Bean. Let me tell you, folks, 6 of 7, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. The line here was -7 for TCU, and right now the Kansas Jayhawks, with College Game Day in their town right now, are up 7 with 7:36 left in the third quarter. Mississippi State up 21-10. Arkansas currently driving 3rd and 6 on their own 5-yard line. The spread there, as I'm looking at my sheet, was 9 in favor of Mississippi State, which is rocking right now. Florida, Missouri tied at 10. These are 2 teams that, are good teams. They've lost some tough games against Georgia, against Tennessee. Florida beat Utah earlier in the year. I still think Anthony Richardson is a good quarterback, but we shall see. This Florida team is tough. They got some games later on with Georgia that will determine how their season goes. Texas, Oklahoma. This is the first time since 1998, folks. 1998, before I was even born, that these teams are playing each other unranked. and it's not even close. 28-0 Texas. The opening line, the Texas Longhorns favored by 7.5 points, and they are covering it and more. Looks like if you have that bet, you will be cashing it out today. And then lastly, one of the good games in the 9 a.m. slate is Louisville against Virginia. Louisville up 20-10 right now. And as the spread here shows, they're favored 2.5 points. So those are your updates for the 9 a.m. slate. We'll get into the next slate of college football games as well. We got some great matchups here, folks. It's a great week 6 of college football. Auburn goes into Georgia, number 2 ranked Georgia. Can Georgia bounce back? Texas Tech, a scary team on the road against Oklahoma State, ranked number 7. The game of the week, in my opinion, number 11 Utah at 18 UCLA. Can UCLA pull off 2 upsets back-to-back weeks? We shall see. Is Dorian Thompson-Robinson that quarterback that can be resilient? Is he that guy for UCLA? We'll talk more to Utah, UCLA when the Pac-12 expert Mike Bauer gets here as well. Looking into the later games as well, you got Appalachian State at Texas State. You got Clemson playing Boston College. Kansas State, number 20 Kansas State playing Iowa State. Texas A&M playing Alabama. Alabama favored 24 points here with Bryce Young being questionable. We'll see how that game turns out. NC State, number 14 ranked, plays a good Florida State team on the road as well. And then Oregon State, Stanford will wrap up the night of college football. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk NFL Week 5 lines and bets for tomorrow. Who's our favorites? Who are the ones that you should avoid? Who are the ones that you should favor? There's been a lot of unders in the NFL recently, as you saw on Thursday night with that terrible Colts-Broncos game as well. We'll talk to Marco D'Angelo on which games that he likes this week. We have him on every single Saturday, months and years of. He's got 40 years of betting experience. The co-founder of Wager Talk will come talk to us at 12:30. But we got a special guest, folks, at 12:03. We got Kevin Ray, the voice of the Suns and the Cowboys. He'll join us at 12:03 to talk Suns, Cowboys, and maybe some Cardinals because he's a local guy, so maybe we can slip in some Cardinals there as well. He's someone who has been around basketball for a long time, so we'll ask him about this Draymond Green situation. Is it a big deal? I mean, what are his thoughts on it? Has he seen stuff like this in his previous years? We'll talk to him about that, as well as the DeAndre Ayton Monty Williams situation is a weird and awkward situation right now, folks, that it kind of got blown over, didn't really get talked about, but this is a situation with a player that you signed a Supermax to, and Monty Williams, who's been a reliable coach that has put his players forward before himself. We'll talk to him about all those situations and more. And we're also going to have Jeff Hudzo from Best Deal in Town, who will give us his picks for the weekend at 11:45. We'll talk current NFL future betting odds, like the divisions, the MVP, conference, Super Bowl odds, and more. We got all of that for you here at the CAZ Sports Bar. And also, I forgot to mention, we got some Arizona big-time games coming in tonight. Arizona playing Oregon, number 12th ranked. Now, let me tell you, folks, this is a good matchup for Arizona. First sold-out game, I believe, since 2015. Oregon comes into this game as in last and pass defense in the Pac-12, and Arizona is currently second for pass offense. So look out for that matchup as Jaden DeLoria and Jacob Cowling look to expose this Oregon Ducks defense tonight. And then ASU will be at home playing Washington. Can Washington bounce back after a tough loss against UCLA last week? We'll go over some college football games. We'll maybe even talk some baseball. We got Mike Bauer here as well, who's a baseball fanatic and also D-backs host. So we'll see if we can talk some baseball with him. But we have all of this and more at the CAZ Sports Bar, the new Casino Arizona Sportsbook. We'll be right back with Mike Bauer as we talk more college football and bets here at the CAZ Sports Bar.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app. Justin Herbert and the banged-up Los Angeles Chargers head across the country to challenge Nick Chubb and the Cleveland Browns. Tomorrow at 9:30 on Fox Sports 910.
Sun Devil football returns home to take on the Washington Huskies Saturday, October 8th in the annual Hall of Fame game. The Sun Devils will debut their special Rising Devils Adidas uniforms, and at halftime, ASU will honor the newest inductees into the Sun Devil Athletics Hall of Fame, including 7-time Pro Bowler and 2-time Super Bowl champion Terrell Suggs. Get your tickets today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
Got the urge to pick games each week? Thursday, Sunday, even Mondays? Then sign up now for the Twin Peaks Fan Pick'em, courtesy of Blue Moon and
Arizona.
You're live.
Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome back to Take the Points here at the CAZ Sports Bar, new Casino, Arizona Sportsbook. And I'm here with my co-host.
Hi.
Mr. Mike Bauer. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I think I topped out at 85 on the 202 on the way here. As I left the station, now the station, Fox Sports 910 Phoenix, the brick and mortar radio station, is right over by the airport. Right, that's where iHeartRadio is located. So as soon as I wrap up Backspin the Golf Show, we should put an over/under every week. Since we are here at the Casino Arizona Sportsbook, we should put an over/under on my top speed as I not running, because that's very slow, but as I run down 4 flights of stairs, run out to my car, jump in the car. I'm always backed in. I sent you guys a picture a couple weeks ago. I'm always backed in.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Well, you got to plan ahead, right?
True.
That's what you got to do. So I'm backed in. I'm ready to go. I peel out, hit the 202, scared the hell out of somebody who was, I don't know this for a fact, but they had plates from out of state. I'm guessing that they were just very lost and looking for the rental car center. They looked very confused. So I blew right past them, got on the freeway. I think it was like 85 was my number.
Okay.
So right around there.
Well,
so if the over-under was 84.5, you could come and cash your tickets at Casino Arizona
Well,
Sportsbook.
hopefully the Popo's not listening to this, or who knows, maybe they'll walk in and give you a nice old ticket. But you get an excuse though, because you're on Take the Points, so maybe they'll give you a warning.
Right. I would like to see if that flew in court. Be like, officer, I'm on my way to go to Casino Arizona Sportsbook for Take the Point. Oh, Take the Points? He goes, I listen every week. I love Take the Points. I'm going to call it 11:45, and I'm gonna make my picks against Jeff Hoodsow for best deal in town, and I'm going to try to win a 75-inch 4K TV. That's right. We do that every week at 11:45.
Every week.
Every week, you get a chance to win a 75-inch 4K smart TV. And to be quite honest, since we talk about, the show's called Take the Points, we're at a sports book. So let's just say that hypothetically, you've had a rough year so far.
Yeah.
And maybe you've lost. Wouldn't winning a big-ass TV for absolutely nothing be a good way to kind of patch up those wounds a little bit? If let's say that, you lost in the Cardinals game last week. Let's say that you maybe on Thursday Night Football, you bet the over for some reason, and you watched one of the worst football games ever played in the history of the NFL. Probably. That was a terrible game on Thursday.
Gosh, terrible.
But let's say that you've taken a couple L's this year. Winning a big-ass TV for absolutely nothing, a 75-inch 4K HD TV, smart TV from Best Deal in Town. That's 11:45. All you got to do is make your picks against Jeff Hoodsow. He makes picks. And we were looking at the records. He sucks.
Yeah.
Like he's really
not
bad.
very good, so you could win.
Yeah, so that's good. That's bad for him, great for our listeners.
100%. It's crazy, too, because I feel like nowadays with sports betting, when you're down money, everyone's just super – your mood is down as well. But imagine being down a couple $100, maybe 100, maybe a couple tens of dollars, and winning that TV. Forget about the sports bets that you lost. Let's enjoy it with a brand new TV.
So, we've been texting back and forth about stuff to talk about on the show, and we're going to get into tomorrow's full slate of NFL games. And by full slate, we mean 6:30 in the morning. We got football tomorrow from London. It's the second week in a row that we've got it, because the Vikings were over there last week.
Yeah.
So you get more NFC North, I guess, the Packers and the Giants tomorrow morning. So we'll get into some NFL. We'll talk some college football. But look, I want to tell you about how exciting gambling and just having a couple dollars can make the most inane of football games. Because I was watching last night.
Yeah.
Nevada, Colorado State.
Oh my gosh.
I was watching that bleep show of a football game. Okay? I love it. He's scrambling to find the box score and see. So I'm watching this game between two just god-awful football teams. Now, spoiler alert, Colorado State, they get the win. They win 17-14. I hope.
First win of the year.
Yeah. Oh, no. First win in a long time. It's the longest losing streak in FBS. By the way, Colorado is now the only winless team in the FBS in the state of Colorado, and also the entire country.
Wow. Yikes.
It was like the state of Colorado was 0 for the season until last night. But look, let's not sugarcoat this. That wasn't an interesting game. It was terrible. Now it did come down to a potential, game winning, which ended up, spoiler alert, like we said, won the game. But Colorado State, they got up early in this game. They were up 14-0 on 2 defensive touchdowns. So their first offensive points of the game are the field goal as time expires, which, by the way, a 48-yarder absolutely shanked wide left, running into the kicker called on the most hilarious running into the kicker I think I've ever seen, where the kicker actually fell in slow motion to the ground. So then he gets 5 more yards. They ice the kicker, so there's a timeout. So this whole process takes like 20 minutes, it feels like. Dude ends up kicking, wins the game. They put the kicker up on his shoulders for the 1-4 now Colorado State Rams. But here's the reason why gambling is fun. I got Nevada under 4 wins on the season. I got that before the season started.
Oh.
And I needed that game for Nevada. So this is why a just god-awful football game last night was interesting for me as I'm getting ready. I'm doing my show prep for this and Backspin the Golf Show. I'm getting ready, and I've got that game on, and I'm watching it, and I'm fully vested, rooting for Colorado State to beat Nevada
And it ended
in a
late,
Jay
too.
Norvell revenge game. Jay Norvell, now the coach of Colorado State, was the Nevada head coach, a former ASU assistant. We got some local ties there. But I'm watching that game like on the edge of my seat because like 2.5, 3 months ago, I bet Nevada under 4 wins on the season. That to me is how fun betting can make things. Look, losing stinks, but I'm actually watching that game going like, all right, okay. Because I was pissed off earlier this year when they beat Texas State. And I was like, man, I was really hoping for the Bobcats to come out and get that win.
Yeah.
And they beat New Mexico State earlier in the year. And I'm like, what are you doing, Nevada? They start off 2-0. This is all Nevada Wolfpack radio, by the way. The rest of the show.
Oh yeah, we're only going to
rest
talk
of the
Nevada
show.
Wolfpack. But yeah, I mean, when you look at Nevada's schedule,
Yep. They're going to lose the rest of the
at
games.
Hawaii. Maybe you could win, but other than that, San Diego State,
Loss.
San Jose State,
Good. Loss.
Boise
Loss.
State, Fresno State,
Loss.
UNLV.
Loss.
UNLV
Let's
might
go.
be close.
Let's
So
go.
You never know.
Let's go
But
under.
That was a great game, but I want to. Did you
No,
watch?
it wasn't a great game.
Okay,
Don't
it
say
was,
that.
It wasn't a great
Don't say
game, but
that.
it was a close game. Did you watch the Houston-Memphis game last night?
Now, that was a great game.
Houston
That was
down
wild.
19 points, folks.
I was peering in on it because it was interesting, but it was no Nevada, Colorado State for me. I didn't have money on that one.
Yeah, I got you. I
But yeah,
feel
that was a crazy game.
I mean, down 19 going into the fourth quarter, the 100-yard kickoff return,
Let's go.
insane. 4 touchdown passes. A crazy game. I wish I would have live bet on Houston. I wouldn't have thought that they were going to score 26 points in the fourth quarter after their performance in the first 3 quarters. That was a great game. I had money on Rutgers last night. Money line. They lost by 1, unfortunately. They were up 13-0. Nebraska came back on them as well. But, man, it's always fun betting on those college football teams that aren't very good, that not a lot of people watch because it forces you to watch them. And, I mean, you were a Colorado State fan for about 2 hours last night, 2 or 3 hours.
I wasn't watching it for that long. It was like an hour.
Okay.
Which is an hour of my life I think I'll never get back. Just like 5 minutes of me talking about that crappy football game is 5 minutes that our listeners will never get back. I'm sorry about that. Also, I just Googled, or not Googled, I Twitter searched for Houston odds because I was curious to see what like the live betting was.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. Also, I'm not really looking, but I wanted to see one of the first things that popped up. And you guys, listen, be wary of this. When you see stuff on Twitter, a lot of times it's just for clicks and for content, and it is absolute trash and garbage. I'm not going to go out there and say, trust me with your money, trust my picks, because I'm 500 on the year for our picks on this show. Now, with gambling over the last year, I've been very fortunate, and I've won a lot of money, or not a lot, but I've won enough money that I feel good about things. So but I'm not going to tell you to trust me.
Yeah.
Here's my pick. Here's the reason why I think about it. Use your own judgment, especially if you're going to walk up to the window here and you're going to put down your hard-earned money. Bet responsibly, right? Gamble responsibly. We always say that for good reason. But I typed in Houston odds right here. I want to show you this. So Houston odds, I typed that in. And, one of the things I get is, you get the odds, right? I get the odds for the Houston Astros to win. That's OddsShark, a relatively reputable website. Now, here's a garbage-ass Twitter account that pops up. And look at this. Please read this tweet to me. This just posted 3 hours ago. Morning.
Plus odds on Houston plus 100 to beat Memphis in today's NCAA football game. Folks, they played last night.
This is why you have to vet any of this information you get. Make sure the websites you're going to are legitimate. Make sure that it's not just some content creator going, oh my God, I'm going to pick the Ravens because birds are cool. Like, don't do that. Just because someone you follow on the TikToks and they make funny videos and then all of a sudden they start making betting, that doesn't mean that you should now put your money where their mouth and whatever face and stuff is. That's the reason why we have one of the best in the business, and Marco D'Angelo join us every week on this show. He joins us at 12:30 because he comes with receipts, he backs it up, and he gives us information. So that's something that just popped up. I literally I wanted to see, because I was curious what the live odds were if you would have bet before the huge comeback last night. And then I look on Twitter, and here's some Twitter account for some website that's trying to sell picks and make money and stuff like that, giving you an offer on last night's game as if it was tonight. Like, get your act together. Come on now.
Well, that's a good tip for listeners out there. A little update on the games right now.
Yeah, let's take a look at the scoreboard.
17-10, Michigan over Indiana right now. And then the spread was 22.5 that Michigan was getting there.
You're feeling good, but then again, you just mentioned how quickly things can change. Look at that Memphis-Houston game. Also, I love Friday Night Football. God bless it.
Oh, yeah. At Indiana, too, a tough place to play. Tennessee rolling LSU right now, 30-7. Number 8, Tennessee on the road, 25 LSU.
Oh, that's not good for Jaden Daniels there, former Sun Devil.
I know, right? And this is a good game for Tennessee as they play Bama next week at home, which will be a good game. TCU tied, or currently they're up 24-23. I think they're reviewing a catch right now for Kansas, just scored, but they're currently reviewing it.
Let's go, Jayhawks.
Hey, I think the Horned Frogs are going to win this game personally.
Get out of here.
Max Duggan at quarterback. He's a veteran guy.
Great. Well, at the very least, I'm taking those 7 points that Kansas was getting going into this game. But I'm rooting for the Jayhawks, baby. I got a lot of family from Kansas, so I gotta represent. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
The over-under of this game was 69 right now, and it's looking like it's at 47 going into the fourth quarter. So,
yeah.
Promising.
You feel good, but then again, stuff can happen very fast.
Yeah, 100%. And then some other scores, 35-0, Texas over Oklahoma. The over-under here was 65. So if you bet the over here, just hope that Texas scores 65 points, I guess, because I don't think Oklahoma's going to score a single point.
These are two teams that earlier in the season, a couple weeks into the season, all right, you're starting to feel good. They put up some good wins.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they just got punched in the mouth the last couple weeks with those variety of programs, losing to Texas Tech, losing to TCU, losing to with Kansas State.
Yeah.
And then you've got 35-0 Texas over Oklahoma. What happened to the Oklahoma of Kyler Murray? What happened to the Oklahoma of Baker, the touchdown maker, of even Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams last year? Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley leaving a program in shambles in his wake. I said it was 35-0. What happened? I said that.
Texas just scored 42-0. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think personally Texas is the favorite for the Big 12. I would bet my money on Texas right now. I think they lost a tough game against Texas Tech. This is still a great team. Oklahoma State right now are the two dogs, I guess, in the Big 12. But you got Kansas State, you got Kansas, and you got TCU. So the Big 12 is deep as well.
It's also almost like I'm going on a huge limb here.
100%.
It's almost like having your quarterback healthy is an important thing in the football. When you're playing the footing ball.
Which is crazy because Kansas doesn't have their quarterback right now, and they're currently tied.
That's true. But Quinn Ewers coming back for Texas.
Huge.
Being healthy for them, it is a monster return for them this season. To get him back and be healthy, and he's out there. He's showing out today, having himself 271 yards, 3 touchdowns on top of Arizona's own Bijan Robinson, 22 carries, 128 yards, and a pair of scores for Texas, who is just boat racing Oklahoma.
Unreal. And that's a game, like I said earlier, it's the first time since 1998 that both teams are unranked, which is unfortunate because this game is always a great game every single year, except right now, who knows? Maybe we'll see the greatest comeback in college football history.
I would take that bet that we won't.
Could you imagine the live bet on Oklahoma right now? I'm gonna look it up.
Hey, we're gonna take a look at the rest of the scores, bounce around the world of college football, and give you a look at some of our thoughts on the NFL games ahead. As I work for a baseball team, Jackson will share his thoughts on the betting lines for the MLB playoffs.
I know. I mentioned that earlier, and I was like, you probably cannot say anything.
I will not be sharing any thoughts on gambling when it comes to baseball. I really like my job. So.
Cough once for team one, cough twice for team
if you're
two.
watching us live on StreamYard, it may be blink once or blink twice. We'll see. All of that and more on Take the Points, Fox Sports 910 Phoenix, broadcasting live from the Casino Arizona Sportsbook at Casino Arizona.
Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino,
You're live.
Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
That's right. All those things that that the voice guy just said, that's all happening right here. Take the points. CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona, 101 in McKellips. Now there is another tremendous Casino, Arizona, the Talking Stick location, but the sports book is here at the CAZ Sports Bar. So, if you're up there and maybe you're playing one of the tremendous golf courses up at Talking Stick,
Yeah.
or you're hanging out and maybe you're watching one of the great concerts they have up at Talking Stick or something like that, or you're staying at the Talking Stick Resort, but you want to come down and hang out with us, it's just a couple minutes down on the 101. That's all you got to do.
Come hang out.
Yeah,
We're
you can do
nice.
that. Every Saturday, we're broadcasting live from 11 until 1. Unfortunately for us, because we love hanging out with our friend Mike Gross every Saturday. Grosser is on the road, on assignment. That's what we say in the radio biz for when somebody's not doing a show. So he's on assignment. But he'll be back next week. So look forward to catching up with Grosser and having him back as part of the show. He's the seasoned veteran. He's been doing this show.
Anchor.
He's been doing this show on like 300 radio stations, not at the same time, just like over the years, for many, many years. So it'll be good to have Grosser back next week. But tons of football to talk about this week, including some NFL talk. We're going to catch up with Kevin Ray, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys. You also might know him as the voice of the Phoenix Suns as well here locally, but he is the voice of the Dallas Cowboys. He's going to join us before he jumps on a plane and goes to call a football game. Interestingly enough, last week on Sunday, he called the football game, called the Cowboys game, jumped on a plane that was delayed a couple times, made things really interesting, but then jumped on a plane and headed to Phoenix no, it was Vegas. Phoenix.
Yeah, it was
whatever.
Vegas. Yeah.
Headed to Vegas. My bad. And then called the Suns game that day. So he did the football and basketball doubleheader. Awesome for K-Ray. He'll catch up with us at noon. Marco in Vegas at 12:30. Next segment, our best deal in town, best bets. When I put it out on Twitter today, I used $signs for best bets right there. Did you see that? Very clever. But right now, what's going on in the world of college football, Jackson? I know we were going through some of the scores as no surprise in a rivalry game. Texas continuing to run it up on Oklahoma, 42-0. But that's a matchup of unranked teams. We do have some other ranked teams in action going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got Tennessee up 37, looking to score again here on LSU's 22-yard line. Michigan looking to score against Indiana, extending their lead to 14 or maybe even 10. They're currently on the 20-yard line of Indiana right now, up 17-10. And then you got Mississippi State up 10 right now, 27-17 against an Arkansas team that is missing their quarterback. But, hey, Kansas is missing their quarterback as well, but he has been terrific. 3 touchdown passes for him right now, Mr. Bean. Got the Jayhawks on his back right now. Chalk Jayhawk.
For the record, though, this is the college football player Jason Bean, not the movie character Mr. Bean. This is not Rowan Atkinson out there acting,
100%.
Although I would pay to see that.
Oh, my gosh.
He would be very quiet. That is a very obscure Mr. Bean reference. Do you know who Mr. Bean is?
Oh, yeah, I've seen Mr. Bean Holiday.
Okay. All right, just checking.
Yeah.
You're a young man. You're much younger than me, so I didn't know if Mr. Bean is part of your canon, if you will. But yes, so not that Mr. Bean.
I want to talk about the Pac-12 games we have.
Let's
later.
go, because we got a good one coming up very soon. I just threw your pen at me. If you're watching on the stream, you just saw me get assaulted by a Sharpie.
Okay, so at 12:30, we got 11 Utah on the road against 18 UCLA. UCLA undefeated in this matchup. Utah favored by 3 points here. The over-under 64.5. 2 offenses that love to score and love to score quickly. Gross. Wow. I did not mean to say gross. Bauer.
Well, we do know his pick. We'll get to his pick next hour. No. We took this game off. I'm sorry.
What are your initial takes on this game?
So, look, this is a game going to be played in front of lots and lots of Utah fans at the Rose Bowl.
100%.
Utah, arguably the best traveling team in the Pac-12. In terms of actual fans that travel, not the fact that there are USC fans everywhere, right? Not the fact that Washington usually does it pretty good. But in terms of fans that actually travel and make plans that leave Salt Lake City, jump on, in this case, the I-15, head down to LA. There's going to be a lot of Utah fans at Pasadena. Utah is only laying 3 points. Only.
That's crazy.
UCLA is +3 at home. I know they're the undefeated team. They're the home team. Utah's a better football team unless DTR goes absolutely nuts like he did a couple weeks ago in what was a surprise win for me over Washington on that Friday night game last week. I think that Utah comes in, Cam Rising and team gets the job done. As we always say, I know that this is, sorry for the cliche, this is beating a dead horse, but Utah is the more physical football team. They want to punch you in the mouth. They want to run the ball. They want to play defense. That is a recipe that travels well. Utah on the road. Give me Utah. Look, I know that they're -3. Utah wins this game by a touchdown on the road to UCLA. What do you think about that one?
I think this game is going to come down to the first snap, first quarter, first half for UCLA. I think if they don't start off quick and they don't respond to what Utah puts up, like I think if Utah scores, UCLA's got to score back, or it's going to be a tough deficit to come behind because this Utah team is very disciplined. They're a team when they're up 14, they got a smart coach as well. They'll run the clock. It's just a tough team when you're down a lot, I guess, or even down 2 possessions to kind of gain that 1 possession to get back on Utah. So I like Utah here -3. I think it's a good line in favor of Utah. I'm surprised it's only 3 points. Maybe people are impressed by UCLA's performance last week, but we'll find out there. Another game I think is very interesting as well. Wazoo, 4-1, going on the road against number 6 USC. Now, this is a Wazoo team that almost beat Oregon, I believe it was a week or 2 ago, in a tough game. They were up by a lot. Oregon ended up scoring, I believe it was 16, 20 points in like 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. Bauer, what are your thoughts on this game as USC is favored by 12.5?
So USC, we referenced earlier how bad Oklahoma is right now, getting smoked by Texas in the Red River. Used to be called Shootout. Now it's Rivalry, whatever
Showdown,
it is.
yeah.
Showdown, that's right. Because Shootout had guns involved. You can't do that.
Can't do it.
So it changed the Rivalry name. But look, USC coming in and busy day, by the way, as if traffic wasn't already bad enough in Southern California. Now we're going to go ahead and throw 2 football games in. Washington State getting 11 to start off. Now it's like 12.5 is the number that we're seeing. I mean, USC's was a big surprise earlier this year, struggling in a few games. I think they score fast. They play fast at home as well. I think USC wins this one going away. Give them 12.5. I like it. I like the fact that it's not over 13. 12.5, good. If it was 13.5, less good. Because I think USC probably wins by 13 points or so. It's going to be really close to that number, I think.
Less good. I
good.
love the English.
Yeah, I English goodly.
and I think this is a game that USC they struggled last week against ASU early. I think this is a bounce back game for them as they prep for Utah next week. I like USC -12.5 as well. And then lastly, we got the 2 Arizona schools. We're not going to talk a whole lot about these 2 games because we'll talk about them later for our weekly picks.
That's right.
You got to draw the viewers in, got to draw the listeners in. We're not going to tell you guys right now, but number 21, Washington, on the road against Arizona State.
The game starts in like an hour.
It starts at 1 p.m. kickoff time on the Pac-12 network. Washington favored 13.5
So if you want to
points.
see it, you have to come here to the CAZ Sports Bar.
100%.
Or actually go to the game.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to see it anywhere else unless you find some stream that is watching it or viewing it.
Washington at Arizona State, and then you got Oregon at Arizona. So you got a couple ranked teams playing on the road in the Grand Canyon State. Oregon State at Stanford as well. That game, you can actually watch that. That's on ESPN. Oregon State at Stanford later tonight. That is the hashtag Pac-12 After Dark. So a full slate in Pac-12 action. Conference play, you got to love it. Speaking of picks in these games, we'll get Jeff Hoodzow's picks and your chance to win a giant TV, 75-inch 4K smart TV from Best Deal in Town. That's on the line next. Put the number in your phone, 602-260-9191. All you got to do is beat Jeff's picks, and you're entered to win that TV next on Take the Points here at CAZ Sports Bar.
take the point. To take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar and Casino, Arizona.
You're live.
Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
That's right, Fox Sports 910. Take the points every week. And, you know, every week at this time is your chance to win a giant television from this man, Jeff Hoodzow. He joins us every Saturday morning. What's going on,
What's
Jeff
up,
Hoodzow
Jeff?
from Best Deal in Town?
Guys, I'm just sitting here watching a little Kansas TCU, watching a little baseball. It's a great day to be, to have a great day.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to have to update me on baseball because we're at a sports book. So as an employee of a baseball team, I can't talk about that. So what's going on in baseball? You got to update me.
We're at bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. Rays and Guardians tied at 0.
Well, there you go. That was a
pretty
game
exciting.
yesterday that took like 2 hours and 15 minutes to fly through that. Speaking of flying through, we're going to fly through our picks today. We got to get your picks, my man Jeff Woods, out on the docket. We got 3 Arizona games. We're going to start things off right down the road at our alma mater, the Arizona State Sun Devils, playing host to Washington. Latest that I'm seeing is Washington minus 13.5 at ASU.
Do you guys know the last 4 games between these two, the underdog has covered the last 4? So I think ASU is going to win this game outright. And if you followed my picks this year, you know how terrible I am. But take the points. ASU plus 13.5.
Wow. You said win outright. You're calling for a Sun Devil victory?
You write it down. Write it down in pen. Don't write it in pencil. ASU is going to win.
If you're watching on the stream right now, which we are streaming, you can watch us live on Twitter every single week. Jackson has a Sharpie. He wrote it down in Sharpie. I also put it on the spreadsheet. We've got some fancy new graphics we're going to put out on Twitter this week too, Jeff. So you'll see that. Yeah, exactly. We even got the Best Deal in Town logo on there. What do you know? Oregon.
I like it.
Hey, I got you. Oregon minus 13.5 at Arizona. You've got a shocker in that first one. The Sun Devils winning outright. You're taking the points for sure. What do you think about the game down in the old Pueblo?
You know, I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take U of A. How many points am I getting with U of A? I don't think they're going to win.
13.5.
All right. I'm taking the points. Oregon is 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 road games. And I believe it's a sold-out game in Tucson for the first time since 1912. So I'm pretty excited for our friends down there. Disney on Ice must not be in town this weekend, so people have something to do.
I believe it's actually in Phoenix
I
this
think
weekend.
Oregon's going to win. I know. My kid's been asking me about it. I'm going to take the points. U of A plus 13.5.
Okay.
So are you going to go to Disney on Ice? And if so, are there futures bets you can make?
You know, I have a little 3-leg parlay with Ariel. I got Moana. I got a couple moving pieces right now, so I'll let you know when the dust settles.
All right.
Could you imagine if Disney on Ice had betting odds? Like which character would accidentally fall or which character would slip?
Hey, you know what? I would go if that was the case.
That'd be so entertaining.
If I could bet on Disney on Ice, I would absolutely do that.
Are you kidding me?
What are the odds that Sebastian will make make an appearance here?
That's funny.
That's probably way too outdated now.
The only under we're taking is Under the Sea when it comes to Disney on Ice.
Wow. Oh, you mentioned
heavy on the overs.
You mentioned your dad. That's a dad joke. Well done.
Thanks, bud.
All right. So you're right now. You are the name of the show is Take the Points. You're taking the points. ASU, U of A. Are you going to take the points with the Arizona Cardinals? They're getting 5 at home against the only undefeated team in the NFL, the Eagles.
I am absolutely not taking the points. I think the Eagles are the best team in football. They've beat a bunch of bums, but I think the Eagles are good, and they've covered their last 3. I like the Eagles.
I thought we were going to see an Arizona slate.
You're going to see a clean sweep on taking the points.
We
Jeff
were going to see it.
Hey, Jeff. So, go ahead, bud.
I build you up. I let you think that way, and then I did the old rope-a-dope at the end. Got to keep you guys on your toes.
I like it.
All right. So I know the website's bestdealaz.com. It's the best deal in town. But I'm also you and I are we've known each other forever. But on the Twitter machine last night, we were going back and forth about sandwiches. So I got to give you at least like 30 seconds to talk about sandwiches.
There's a lot of talk about cheesesteaks, and
yeah,
I am a big cheesesteak fan. I haven't been to Philadelphia in forever. Where do you guys like to get your sandwiches at? I almost was going to make a whole sandwich-based prediction. I've been to in Seattle and all different places. I'm a cheesesteak guy. What's your go-to sandwich, Michael?
Okay, if we're talking about actual cheesesteaks in Philadelphia, Jim's South Street is the way to go as far as I'm concerned. Tony Luke's is good. There's a great place at the public market that you can go. In Arizona, bro, Corleone's. Let's go. That's it. That's the spot.
Oh, I've had a few. I love it, Mike. Corleone's is a great pick.
There you go. Jeff Hoods out from Best Deal in Town. Call right now, 602-260-9191. Make your picks in those 3 games, Arizona State, Arizona, and the Cardinals. If you beat Jeff, you get a $50 gift certificate to Best Deal in Town, and you're entered to win a 75-inch 4K smart TV. Jeff, thank you for the time today, man.
Thanks, boys. Have a good one.
Enjoy a sandwich for lunch. The best meal of the day, the sandwich.
Wow.
I love sandwiches. Kevin Ray, K-Ray, joins us next on Take the Points.
Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Thank you very much for listening, however it is, on the aforementioned iHeartRadio app. If you're watching us on Twitter right now, you can see our faces for radio online. Of course, you can also listen at 9:10 a.m., 99.9 HD2 FM as well. And, you know, so we're all over the place is what we're trying to say. But we're nowhere near all over the place the way that our next guest is. Kevin Ray, the voice of the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Ray, who missed winning an Emmy because he was busy working last weekend. I believe you still get the trophy and all that good stuff. But K-Ray, let's take a look back to last weekend, man. You're putting in some frequent flyer miles, and you actually called 2 games on the same day. Many of our listeners know you, of course, as the voice of the Suns, but you're also calling Cowboys games. What was your Sunday like last week, bro?
You know, just your basic ho-hum week 4 in the NFL, little NFL game, caught a flight, little NBA game. You know, not much.
Wait, so those were in the same city, is what you're saying, right? So you were working the Cowboys game, and then you went to like a Mavs game.
Yeah, not quite.
Wow.
There was an NFL game in Dallas that had a noon kickoff, and then there was a Suns exhibition game Sunday night back here in the Valley. So yeah, there was a little travel time required.
Now, was this on a private jet, Kevin Ray, or was this commercial?
You know, it's funny. I had asked a couple of friends about using their jets, and you know, crazy as it was, nobody got back to me. Mine was in the shop for repair, so I just had to fly commercial like everybody else.
So did I see your tweets, your Instagram? Did I see your social media post that your flight was actually delayed too?
It was.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, and that was always going to be, well, I shouldn't say that sole thing, but the commercial flight, anybody that travels and anybody that's traveled over the last 2 years knows just what a kind of, you know, crapshoot traveling has been. And so I always knew that flight that I was booked on, a 5:30 flight, could undo everything. And, you know, this goes back to what I had said in my post, just, you know, how great it is to work with people who are so accommodating, so helpful. So we had backup plans in place, but you know, the Cowboys game went extremely fast, and I raced to the airport. I almost made a 4:30 flight. I missed making that one by like 2 minutes. And at the time, you know, the 5:30 flight was saying on time. I'm like, okay, we're still in good shape. Because I know typically, like, the time that they post that you're going to land differs by about 15, minutes sometimes. And within about, 20, 25 minutes, on time went off the board to delay. And that's when the heart started racing a little bit, because you don't know just exactly how long that delay is going to be. And as it turns out, it was about a 20 plus minute delay, which instead of getting into Phoenix, at 5:45, we landed at about 6:10. So some nervous moments, needless to say.
All right, so let's just talk about geographics here. Thankfully, you weren't doing a game in Denver. That both of these cities, in terms of Dallas and the Metroplex, and Arlington and DFW, relatively close. And of course, we are. If you haven't traveled across, and as much, nobody's traveled as much as K-Ray, but if you haven't traveled to cities all across this country, you don't know how lucky we are in Phoenix that the airport is right next to downtown. So K-Ray, at least you had that. You landed at 6:10. You've only got like a 10-minute drive to get to the arena.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, look, that was when I started kind of formulating this plan. And keep in mind, when the NFL schedule came out, we didn't have an NBA preseason schedule. And then we got the NBA preseason schedule. And when it first came out, we weren't slated to broadcast that game. So I didn't think that, there was a conflict. But then about 4 or 5 days after the preseason schedule came out, it was determined, Dan Siekman, my boss of the Suns, had let us know, hey, we are going to broadcast the 2 home games. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, okay. And then had to confirm with Dan that it was a 7 o'clock tip time, because that was the other thing. Normally, as you guys know, NBA games during the regular season on Sundays are typically like a 6 o'clock tip.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was a 7 o'clock tip, check the box, and then all the other logistical stuff. It was a noon kickoff in Dallas, the 5:30 flight, and of course 2-hour time difference. So it's not quite a 2-hour flight. So you're making up that ground, and then the 7 o'clock tip. So, like I say, there was a lot of planning, a whole lot of help, a whole lot of cooperation from other folks, and I was happy to be able to pull it off, and I'm certainly happy it's in the rearview mirror.
One thing that I'm sure you're not happy is in the rearview mirror is something that's going to go up on your mantle, along with your other wonderful teammates, the folks you work with there at the Suns Broadcasting. Congratulations on your Sun Broadcast Emmy this past weekend. I know while you were doing all that madness on Sunday, you were also in Dallas, so you weren't here for the ceremony. But congrats to you and EJ and the team on winning, for many of you, yet another Emmy.
Yeah, thank you, man. It is my first. Yeah, a few of the people on our crew have multiple Emmys, but it just speaks to the great people, that I get a chance to work with. And almost all of them are people that they're not just coworkers. They are friends. I've known and worked with them for, 15, 20 years through my variety of roles on the Suns broadcasts, and, really rewarding. But yeah, it's super fun. I was bummed that I wasn't able to be there, and and throw an elbow at EJ in the picture to get him at a center stage. But yeah, super cool, and just a great opportunity for all of our people to be recognized for all their efforts.
Kevin Ray, the voice of the Suns and the Cowboys. I want to talk about the Suns, Kevin. This Phoenix Suns team in the offseason kind of reminds me of the Cardinals offseason in a standpoint where they didn't really sign the most attractive free agents. They mostly re-signed the core pieces of this team. What do you make of the Suns team heading into this season with Cameron Johnson now in the starting lineup as well?
Yeah, it was one of those deals. I mean, certainly when the name Kevin Durant gets thrown around, everybody just, loses their mind.
Yeah.
And look, rightfully so. I mean, he's one of the best players on the planet. And when that didn't come to fruition, there was this sense of a letdown for Suns fans. But I will say this about this team. It's not a finished product. And by that, I mean, I fully expect James Jones to be active in the trade market. The one thing that we've seen with James is he remains, very patient. He's not going to get pushed into a deal or panicked into the deal, based on how the fan base is reacting to something he has, or in this case, hasn't done. It's a little bit like playing poker if you're a sports general manager. And that's what James is doing right now. I know that there's, a few players that they are eyeballing, but when you look at the asking prices from those other teams, you just kind of play you play your hand and you play the long game. So this team isn't a finished product, but having said that, I feel good because you do, as you mentioned, have that core coming back, those guys who are 26 years of age and younger. And, the reason why I'm so optimistic is just while last year did not end the way that any of us would have wanted, it's, you learn great, valuable lessons from that scar tissue, as I like to call it, that gets built up. And I think this team will be better for it.
What do you make of this Monty Williams, DeAndre Ayton, no speaking situation going on right now with the Suns? It was brought to us, I believe, a week or two ago. It kind of got blown over. They haven't spoken since the loss, even with the Supermax extension with DeAndre Ayton, no text there. You know Monty Williams, and you've seen DeAndre Ayton, you're behind the scenes. What do you make of the situation, and do you think it'll get resolved? They'll be back into good terms, or what do you make of it?
Well, look, I understand, with Suns fans, speaking of the loss and speaking of kind of the little dust up, the blow up, if you will, between Monty and DA. I mean, look, anybody who has played sports, anybody who has watched sports knows that coaches and players will have words. Players will have words with one another, as we saw recently with Draymond Green. And Monty addressed it again a couple of days ago in practice and is like, look, there's nothing to address here. And for me, and I've got nothing to base this on other than just kind of my own gut feeling. But in some respects, I think it's kind of a move from Monty in an effort to like maybe communicate in a nonverbal way with DA. It's like, man, it's, this is part of life. DA's still a young man, but he is a veteran now in terms of playing experience and time in the NBA. And, you got to grow up. You got to toughen your skin up a little bit. And so, frankly, I don't think there's anything to be made of it. And, people continue to ask. Monty said, look, there's nothing to address here. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And look, as I've said before, people can create happiness or unhappiness in their own lives. It's how you approach it. And for me, I hope the DA chooses to move forward. Look, he got his bag. He's a very wealthy man right now. His family is set up. And it was one moment. And they've been in practice for over a week now. I assure you they have talked and communicated. So it's one of those things that people want to put a bow on something that doesn't really need a bow put on.
Yeah.
K-Ray, when you mention happiness and unhappiness, it sounded like, at least from the report from ESPN, there was a lot of unhappiness for many employees of the Suns for many years. For a lot of fans, there was a lot of happiness when the news came out that Robert Sarver was going to be selling the team. Now, all of that said, is that also, in terms of the basketball team and the players that are going to be out there on the court, is that the kind of thing that is or isn't a distraction for the team moving forward and what they hope is another championship run this year?
Yeah, I think it's a zero distraction. I mean, look, to me, if there was going to be any distraction with this club, it would have taken place last season when the investigation began, and there was so much of a bright spotlight put on the club about what was being investigated, why, and the who, and the team went out and handled their business and won, a regular season best 64 games. This, to me, with the news over the last few weeks, just clarifies things even more. And the players know they're not in control of who's going to buy the team.
Yeah.
Their job is to go out and perform and win games. And so I think that it will create zero distraction for players or coaches.
Hey, K-Ray, when we're sitting here at the Casino Arizona Sportsbook, Casino Arizona, CAZ Sports Bar, and I'm taking a look at the odds for the division for these Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is the division favorite in some books, at least when the odds opened. But Golden State is right there, which leads me to my next very important question. Do you have any video footage of anyone from the Suns sucker punching a teammate during a practice?
I do not, because I unlike one person or somebody's knows that is an absolute cardinal sin, journalistic sin. I mean, so I'm not sure who did it. All I know is they are probably updating their resume at the moment, and I can almost assure you they won't be working in professional sports anytime soon. That was just absolutely, frankly, despicable and uncalled for. And I hope the Warriors are able to get to the bottom of it. I'm sure they are, because, like I say, somebody's videotaping that sucker punch, and guess what? That person, I'm sure, is caught on video, because when you're talking about being in the tech hub of the world, I assure you there was video of that person videotaping Draymond Green's sucker punch.
Yeah, it was interesting, too, because the Warriors kind of covered it up a little bit. Oh, it was just a little punch to the chest, and then that video came out as well. But, well, Kevin Ray, you're also a Cowboys announcer as well on the radio there at Compass Radio Networks. What do you make of the quarterback situation right now? Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott's coming back, but, I mean, Cooper Rush is undefeated as a starter. Who do you like right now, I guess?
Well, I like Cooper Rush right now.
Hey.
He's starting. He'll start again tomorrow. Week 5 matchup against the Rams. There's zero quarterback controversy. I mean, Look, Cooper has done a wonderful job. His teammates have done a great job of supporting him. Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, I think has done a terrific job of game planning, play calling. But look, at the end of the day, Dak Prescott is your starting quarterback for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is $40 million, which is what he's getting paid this year. So, I mean, they're in a perfect scenario right now, having a backup quarterback who plays at a high level. He's not putting up eye-popping numbers, but what he isn't doing is turning the football over. And there's more value in that than, say, passing for 375 yards and 2 picks. So the Cowboys will take that every day that ends in Y.
Kevin Ray, voice of the Suns and the Cowboys. You can follow him on Twitter at KRay1 Voice. Now, K-Ray, I know that you are a true professional, so you will not be venturing a guess, a wager by any means in terms of a prediction. But the Dallas Cowboys are getting 7 points on the road, visiting the defending champion LA Rams. From a broadcaster's, a professional standpoint, how do you look at this game tomorrow without maybe wagering a guess on who wins this one?
Right. Well, look, this is a Rams team that's in a little bit of disarray.
Yeah.
You watched that game Monday night against the Niners, and the Niners just physically whipped them.
Yeah, I lost money on that game.
Issues.
Me too.
They were having issues with their offensive line, going into that game, and now they're going to be down 2 starters on their offensive line tomorrow against a team who leads the league in pressures, that being the Cowboys defense with 70. They're up there in sacks. So Sean McVay is going to have to work some magic, and part of that magic is going to be communicating to Matthew Stafford. See that team that's wearing the dark navy blue jerseys? Don't throw the football to them, because Matthew Stafford has had a habit of doing that. He threw, another pick 6 in that loss the other night. But look, having said all that, they're still the defending champs. On the defensive side of the football, they still got that animal called Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner is one of the best defenders in all the National Football League. The secondary is good. They've been good against the rush. So the Cowboys just need to go in and keep the kind of balance offensively and playmaking defensively that has gotten them these last few victories. But it will be interesting tomorrow, as it always is in LA, because even though they're defending champs, Sean McVay has talked about preparing his team this week to go with a silent snap count, because the one thing we know, Cowboys fans always travel very well because they train out there in, Southern California for all these years. There will be a huge Cowboys contingent tomorrow. So it'll be pretty interesting to see a home team having to potentially go to a silent snap count.
Yeah, well, and that wouldn't be the first time. They've done it a handful of times at home. We've heard Matthew Stafford talk about that, especially with the Niners visiting L.A. Kevin Ray, Emmy award-winning broadcaster. How great does that sound? Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.
You got it, boys. And Bauer, I don't know what you're saying. You're talking about face for radio. You're a handsome man, so get that mug out there.
Hey, K-Ray, appreciate it, man. We gotta, in the middle of your busy schedule, man, we gotta find a time to get out to a concert, you and me. All right, bud?
Oh, will do, my man. Anytime.
Always good to catch up with my brother from another mother, Kevin Ray, giving us some thoughts on the Cowboys, the Phoenix Suns. Who, again, if we're taking a look at those odds, the Suns, the odds are moving around in terms of the Warriors and the Suns, in terms of who's favored to win that division. But we'll turn our eye back to football, college football. We got ourselves a hell of a game in Lawrence. That blowout is complete in the Red River Shootout. And man, we got a full slate of Pac-12 action as well on tap today. All that and more next on Take the Points.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 10.
That's right. Coming up here in about 10 minutes, Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com. He joins us. Always love catching up with Marco. He brings it every single week. And speaking of bringing it, Jackson, it's our time to bring it, talking about some NFL. Now, we got a lot of NCAA action going on. top 25 action. We're going to get into some NFL games, but Arkansas, Mississippi State, an absolute blowout, 40-17, Mississippi State over Arkansas. Michigan not covering that monster spread. They're only up 14 at Indiana, 24-10 with about 8.5 left to go in that game. In terms of top 25 action, TCU, Kansas, 38-31 in the wee seconds at the end of the game. Kansas not looking good for the Rock Chalk Jayhawk team that's hosting game day this week.
Yeah, and it looks like TCU just stopped Kansas on 4th down, so TCU will win this football game.
There you go.
A big win for TCU on the road. Looked impressive, undefeated in the Big 12.
There you go. Tennessee at LSU. It's a blowout with the Volunteers up 40-13 late in that game. So some top 25 action. But, man, tomorrow we start off in the wee early hours of the morning. That was more Irish than it was British, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, British.
Sorry. But, yes, but whatever. All terrible British accents aside, tomorrow we got ourselves some big NFL games. Jackson, what's catching your eye aside from the Eagles visiting the Cardinals in the Battle of the Birds? We'll get to that after Marco D'Angelo when we get to our picks.
I really like the Lions +3 against the Patriots. I also like their money line as well. They get
the Patriots, they have Mac Jones. No,
Mac Jones.
They have Brian Hoyer.
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
No.
Oh, they have Zappy.
Bailey Zappi out of Western Kentucky, rookie quarterback. I like the Lions here. I'm surprised that the Patriots are favored in this matchup. Maybe it's because it's at home. Maybe it's because it's Bill Belichick. But when you look at this Lions team, Jared Goff has been playing very well. Number 1 scoring offense so far in the NFL, and they haven't had DeAndre Swift in about 2 weeks. Jamal Williams steps into the lineup at running back, having a great year so far. Amon-Ra comes back as well as DJ Chark on the outside. This is a good team. I don't see this Dan Campbell-led Lions team going 1-4 here.
That guy will bite your kneecaps.
He will bite your kneecaps. So initially, when I'm looking at the sheet right here from the CAZ Sports Bar Casino Arizona Sportsbook, I like the Lions money line +140. Put 100
That's
down.
it. That's a good game right there.
$140.
I like that. What
about you, Bauer? What
all right,
strikes your eye?
so here's what caught my eye.
Okay.
Couple weeks ago, Buffalo goes down South Beach.
Mhm.
Not technically South Beach. I mean, it's very inconveniently located from South Beach, but they go down to South Florida, and in 100+ swampy ass day down in Miami, they lose.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills lose. Then last week it was a barn burner. They had to come back, and late in the game, Josh Allen had to usher a comeback, had to put his body on the line. Josh Allen had to make plays with his arm, with his legs. This week he doesn't have to do that. This week he's got an easy game. Buffalo is at home against Pittsburgh. I think Buffalo -14 is a terrible play. Give me Pittsburgh. I'm taking the points on Pittsburgh, and the reason why is because Brown needs a breather. They don't need to pour it on. They don't need to win by 21 points. This is a game for Buffalo. If you're the Bills, you look at it and you go, let's just get out of this one alive. Let's just get out of this one. Nobody gets hurt. This is Josh Allen doesn't need to play hero ball. He doesn't need to lead his team to come back. They should win this game easily. And guess what? In the NFL, 10 points is a blowout win. If they win by 10, if they win by 13, Pittsburgh still covers the spread. So I like Pittsburgh in this game to lose, to get blown out. But if I'm Buffalo, there's no reason in the NFL for us to go and put a bunch of extra points up on the board. There's no reason to do that. 14's a lot. I'm taking 14 with Pittsburgh. Again, they get blown out. But with Buffalo, tired from a couple weeks ago, they needed to usher a comeback last week just to get back in the win column. Buffalo at home, I think they take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit late in this one.
Okay.
Play some, some ground game, control the clock, just kind of put it on cruise control and win by 10, 13 points or so, but not 15.
Okay. I like
big number.
You convinced me. I thought you were going to go with the Bills.
No, I know. See, I zigged.
There.
You thought I was going to zag. Coming up next, though, we'll get the pros pick. Marco D'Angelo from wagertalk.com. He joins us next. And guess what? As he does every week, he's got free picks for you on Take the Points.
Let's go.
stay away from. Take the Points, powered by CAZ Sports Bar's resident handicapper, Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com, joins us now.
You're live
on Fox Sports 910.
Oh, it's always good to catch up with Marco and get the pros' thoughts on a couple games. Now, we've got a full slate of games going. I mean, already some great games in the books so far today in terms of great. I mean, a blowout in a very good rivalry game there in Texas at the Red River Shootout. That was a blowout. But we got some great games going on right now. So, Marco, we can't get your pick on UCLA Utah because that game's kicking off as we speak. So let's actually go to your backyard in the first, not literally your backyard, even though you may have had the teams over for dinner last night. I don't know. But BYU taking on Notre Dame at the Death Star there at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, a quote neutral site game. But that's an interesting theory to me because in terms of fan bases, you got Notre Dame that travels well. BYU's right up the road. They travel very well. So in this holy war, how do you see it there at Allegiant Stadium?
Yeah, it's the Shamrock Series. And I can tell you guys, I was on the Strip last night for a concert, so I got to see all of the action on the Strip. I was told that the ticket split was 70% Notre Dame fans.
Wow.
I can tell you it seemed a lot more on the Strip. It was a sea of green on the Strip last night. Even the Notre Dame pep band was going past the casino that I was at. They were on the Strip. So it's going to be a good atmosphere. Yes, BYU does travel well to Vegas. They play a lot of games here. Doesn't matter whether it's college football or college basketball. They're no strangers to Vegas. So it'll be an interesting game. But when I look at this one, I got to break it down. And you know what? Notre Dame's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And I bring that up because, all throughout the season, every team's going to have 1 or 2 spots where they have that extra week to prepare. I like the first break you get during the season, especially when it's a year one head coach like you have with Marcus Freeman this year. They've got to play 4 games. He has a game plan coming into the season. They try to execute that. But once you actually get some games under your belt and you see what players are adjusting to your schemes, you can tweak things, fine-tune it. And we saw that last week. We had a big play with Nebraska. Their head coach was in that situation off of a bye, and they've come back now and won 2 in a row. I think Notre Dame's going to play well here in this game. I think they're going to be able to run the football at BYU. BYU has had problems stopping the run this season. They're ranked 92nd in the country at stopping the run. They're giving up 160 yards per game. If you can run the football, you control the line of scrimmage, you can kill clock in the fourth quarter when you're trying to protect the lead. And if you can run the football well, not only are you killing clock, but you can add to the score. Final factor for me in this one, and I'm going to go with Notre Dame here. They are 10-1 the last 11 games when they've been installed as a favorite of 8 points or less. I'm going to go ahead and take Notre Dame tonight, 31-23. Shamrock Series. Notre Dame stays undefeated, and I think they're going for 5 in a row.
What an incredible stat there for Marco. The ability to find that stat is unreal. Going with the Iris there, I agree with you on that one, Marco. Let's talk about NFL. Eagles favored 5 points here against the Cardinals at home. Who do you like in this matchup? The over-under as well as 49.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one in Philadelphia. Who would have thought this? The final undefeated team in the NFL would be Philadelphia. Who would have thought that the NFC West, which was supposed to be top heavy with the top 2, then Arizona, and then we weren't even going to talk about Seattle, is all knotted up at 2-2. It was supposed to be the AFC West that was the competitive division this year, not the NFC West. But that's what we've got here. Arizona continues to play well on the road. This is one of the biggest mysteries in the NFL, why they play so well away from home. The other mystery is why they cannot score any points in the first half. They have yet to score a first quarter point this season. They have only scored 16 points in the first half all year. That's something that's got to be rectified. They can't keep falling behind in games and being able to rally. They've been fortunate in a couple of the wins that they were able to do that. But I'm looking at Philadelphia. This is just a horrible spot for them. All the time you'll hear me talk about situational spots in the schedule, teams coming off big games or a big game on the horizon. Well, I look at this Philadelphia team, and this is a team that's had 3 big games in a row. It started when they played the Monday Night Football game against Minnesota, absolutely trounced them, really embarrassed Minnesota in that game. They followed that up with another win, a division game. Now, granted, Washington's not played good this season, but it was a division game, and they took care of business 24-8 in that one. Then last week, they played host to Jacksonville. Now, that's not a game that you normally on your calendar would get excited about, except the fact for Philadelphia, the coach at Jacksonville is somebody that they're all familiar with. Their old coach.
Yeah.
It was a big game for them. They fell behind 14-0 in that game and then still rallied to win that one 29-21. And how did they do that? They did it with the running game. 50 attempts on the ground for 210 yards. So where am I going with this one? Well, it's all about having to travel across the country with that still undefeated status on your back, like a bullseye. But more importantly, look at who they play next week. They got to go back home and play the Dallas Cowboys. We all know that's the biggest game of the season for them to date because obviously they're in first place. They win that game. They've already beaten Washington. If they get a leg up on Dallas, that's big for the division. I think this is a trap game for Philadelphia.
Wow.
I'm going to go with Arizona. I think Arizona is going to find a way to get out of the gate a little bit better. One other thing about last week's game that's a little bit alarming for Philadelphia, they were able to win it by 8 points, and they came from 14 down. But they had a 5-1 turnover edge in that game. When you're +4 in turnovers, you're supposed to win by more than 8 points. That's a little bit of a red flag for me. Let's call for the outright win by Arizona. We're going to make it Arizona 31, Philadelphia 27. I'm going to grab the 5 points.
Well, that's good news. You always love to hear Marco having confidence in the Arizona Cardinals there. I like it.
Hey, you know what? He's going for it. He's got Notre Dame and Arizona in his picks. And Marco, it's always a pleasure to have you join us on Take the Points. What do you guys got going on at wagertalk.com? Our listeners can go check out today and every day. Always such great content.
Yeah, guys, we got a lot of free information there. We tell you, download our app, the Wager Talk TV. You can get all of our daily videos. We have free plays. We break down every sport, not just football. We've got the baseball playoffs in full swing.
Yeah.
Guys, hockey starts. We've got guys on hockey. Whatever it is, soccer, NASCAR, we've got it covered. Check it out. Wagertalk.com is the website. And give me a follow on Twitter at Marco in Vegas.
At Marco in Vegas. A must follow on the Twitter machine. Marco, thank you so much. You're right. There's all these sports. You got the World Cup right around the corner. It's pandemonium out there. It's so much great action that our listeners can get in on. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Enjoy doing the show, and good luck on the games, and let's cash some tickets.
Happy betting, baby.
Let's do it. Let's cash some tickets. Always good to catch up with our good friend Marco D'Angelo. His picks again. He's got 31-23 Notre Dame. He's going to that number again, 31-27 Arizona, which let's do some quick math. 5 points, got him winning by 3. So he's got him by 8 points covering that spread. That's it. That's a big margin right there. 31-27. The Arizona Cardinals winning at home for what seems like the first time in forever for the Cardinals not had success at home recently. Our picks next on Take the Points.
Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ
You're lying.
Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
All right, Jackson, to all of our listeners out there, all of our people of listening, if you will.
What's good?
I got to tell you why I'm a little bummed out right now.
Why are you bummed out, Bauer? What's up?
I'm bummed out right now because the two best games in the Pac-12, clearly the two best games of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you know who's playing on them? The teams that are leaving. The teams that are leaving the Pac-12 are playing in the best games of the day are at UCLA and at USC. Those are the only games during the daytime that's not the late game on ESPN. But the only games that people across the country can actually see on television in terms of UCLA hosting Utah, top 20 teams, and Wazoo at USC. Both those games are on Fox. Both those are very good football games. Those are the games I'm most excited to watch today in Pac-12 play, and those are both being played at future Big Ten venues.
And the reason why you're upset is because we can't pick them? Is that why?
No, it's not that we can't pick them. It's just that a couple years from now that this is not going to be Pac-12 football. UCLA's bailing on the conference, and USC is bailing on the conference champions. How dare they leave for much, much greener financial pastures?
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, though, where they place these two teams in the Big Ten West, the Big Ten East.
They're just going to do away with divisions. They're just going to get rid of that. They're going to dissolve the whole divisions thing, yeah.
Okay. I like it.
That's what they're going to do. They got to do it. Otherwise, they're definitely in the West, and then what? You move Northwestern to I don't know, whatever. But I'm just bummed because I'm excited about Pac-12 football. Utah, UCLA, that's a good game. No score in that one, by the way. Wazoo at USC, that's game 4:30 today. Washington, Arizona State. Many of you may be walking into the stadium right now, listening to us on the iHeartRadio app, walking into Sun Devil Stadium right now. That game starts at the top of the hour at 1 o'clock. Washington at Arizona State. So we got some great action today in the Pac-12. But you also got Oregon Stanford. That's the Pac-12 After Dark tonight. Oregon at Arizona and the ASU game. So those games, we're going to make our picks here momentarily. Washington at Arizona State is up first. That game kicks off very soon. What do you got, my man?
All right. Washington comes into this game with some fire under their belt. They lost last week against UCLA. I think Penix has a huge game for Washington. Give me Washington minus 13.5. I think their offense is too much for this ASU depleting defense.
Washington smarting off of that loss to UCLA. They've also had an extra day to recover. That game was on Friday. It's not like they stayed down here. They went back home. They still had to travel. But look, Washington, pretty good at football. Arizona State, not. There you go. That's my expert analysis right there. But you're right. You know, the Sun Devils going to have a hard time stopping Penix there. Give me Washington minus 13.5. Mike Gross also taking the Huskies minus 13.5. So for the three of us, we're all going with Washington laying the 13 and the hook. Our guy Jeff Hood's out from Best Deal in Town. He said ASU winning outright. Well, if he believes in that, I hope he's got the money line because he's also got 13.5 points in his back pocket. Speaking of 13.5, that's the number in the old Pueblo. What do you see from Oregon at Arizona, Jackson Groff?
This is a sold-out game for Arizona. The U of A Wildcats. I almost said Sun Devils there, but we are in Tucson
How
for this one.
Dare you?
My bad. I'm so sorry. But I think this is going to be a closer game than what people think. I like Arizona's offense. Number 2 in the Pac-12 when it comes to pass offense. Oregon is second to last or last, I believe, in the Pac-12 when it comes to pass defense. I like Arizona take the points plus 13.5 here. I think at home this will be a close game. I don't know if they're going to win outright, but I think this will be a one-possession game with Arizona playing Oregon.
So big stat sheet stuffing going on there. Jaden DeLora, he's putting up these monster numbers, and they're putting up points left and right. But they're doing it against the teams that they've beat. He's not playing well against the teams that, now granted, that makes sense, right? He plays well, they win. He doesn't play well, they lose. But let's take a look as as they're going up against a very good opponent here in Oregon. This isn't Colorado. Again, Colorado, the team they just beat, the only winless team in FBS football. But Jaden DeLora, 13-1 touchdown to interception ratio in their 3 wins. He's only got 3 touchdown passes, 5 picks, and a lost fumble in the 2 losses to Mississippi State and Cal. Again, Mississippi State, pretty good football team. Cal, not that good. So as he goes, they go, or vice versa. I'm taking the better football team around all the way across the board. Give me Oregon laying the 13.5. And Grocers agrees with me at 13.5 as well, laying the points in this one.
Bo Nix has been playing really well, too, for Oregon.
Bo Nix on the road, never a good thing, though. Never a good thing, Bo Nix on the road. And you mentioned a sold-out crowd there in the old Pueblo. All right, Philadelphia at Arizona. We're talking about the Eagles, the Eagles, Eagles. A fan base very proud they can spell their own team's name. Philadelphia -5 at the Arizona Cardinals. 48.5 is the number on the total.
I'm avoiding the spread. I'm avoiding the money line for both teams here. I'm going to go with the over 48.5 for this matchup. I think if the Cardinals start out strong in the first half and score some points, actually, I think you favor the over here. I mean, these are 2 should be high-power offenses, at least what you've seen from the Eagles side. Hopefully, Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray can get things going early for the Cardinals. I like the over 48.5 here. I don't like the spread. I don't like the money line for this matchup. Personally, it scares me. So let's go with the over.
You just mentioned get things going early and get some points and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How have the Cardinals done at that so far this year?
Not well, but hopefully they can change it today.
How have they been in the first half?
Scoreless.
Yeah, they've been outscored by 50 points in the first half this season. Philadelphia leads the league, averaging 23 points in the first half of games. Arizona dead last. They only score 4 points on average in the first half of games. My bet is Philadelphia -3.5 in the first half.
I like it.
So give me Philly laying 3.5 in the first half. Mike Gross has Philly -5. Now, a little bit of advice. Our picks are not advice. We don't go be putting money on our picks, stuff like that. But a little bit of advice. You want to watch some great football? Now that our show's over, now you can flip on the TV. Grambling State at Alabama A&M. We got ourselves a good football game right now. AZTV, Channel 7, your new home for college football here in Arizona. It's just after halftime. It's a close game, and it's always a good game on AZTV, Channel 7. That does it for us. Take the points. See you next week.
What another great show.
I guess.
Thanks for listening to Points. Powered
Thanks,
by
guys.
the Sportsbook at CAZ.